Hi everybody and welcome back to Meals of the Week. So today is Monday and we are going to be having a pork loin dinner. So I'm just going to be using these pork loin steaks, and then I've also got some stuffing that I'm going to make stuffing balls with. So the first thing I'm going to do is season my pork loins with salt, pepper and some mixed herbs. I'm just going to then flip the meat over and do the same on the other side. These are then going to go into the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. Whilst the pork loins are cooking, I'm going to get on with making the stuffing. So I'm going to empty just over half of the contents of the stuffing mix into a bowl and add some boiling water and give this a really good mix. When the stuffing had cooled down enough for me to handle, I just rolled them into roughly equal sized balls, and these are going to go into the oven now to cook for about 25 minutes. Once everything is nearly finished cooking, I'm just going to poke some holes into the mash and pop this into the microwave for the last 5 minutes. For the Yorkshire puddings, I'm just going to do these in the air fryer. These are only going to take about 4 or 5 minutes to cook. And this is how it all looks once it has been plated up. So Ayla's got some carrot sticks on her plate. We've got exactly the same thing apart from that, and then I'm just going to add the gravy. And this is what we had for our tea tonight. On Tuesday we had teriyaki chicken with rice. So I'm just using this teriyaki little packet that you mix water with to make a sauce. And then I'm going to use these chicken breast fillets. I'm going to bread them with this panko breadcrumbs I picked up out of Aldi, and then I've got my rice and then some sesame seeds to sprinkle on top. The first thing I'm going to do is crack 2 eggs into a bowl and give them a really good whisk. This is so we can dip our chicken into it later. And then to a separate bowl, I'm going to add my panko breadcrumbs. Before I get started with the chicken, I'm going to get on with the rice. So I'm going to add some to a pan. I'm going to rinse this off till the water runs clear and then put this on to boil. For the chicken, I've added it all into the egg mix, and then I'm going to dip it into the panko breadcrumbs and put it to one side. I'm going to do this for each piece of chicken. In a pan, I've added some oil and I'm going to let this heat up before adding my chicken into it, and then I'm just going to fry it off. Once the chicken has turned a golden brown on one side, I'm going to flip it over and let it cook on the other. Once the chicken has finished cooking, I'm going to put it on a plate and then move it to one side whilst I get on with the teriyaki sauce. So all I'm going to do is empty the sachet into a pan and then add some water and let this thicken up on the stove. Now that the sauce has finished, it is now time to plate everything up. For the sauce, I didn't want to use too much on Ayla's plate because it did have a bit of a kick to it. It was a little bit spicy. I only added a small amount, but she did end up coming through and asking if she could have some more. So this is another thing we can add to the list that Ayla enjoys eating. This is how it looks when it is all finished, and this is what we had for our tea tonight. On Wednesday we had pulled pork burgers, so I'm just using this barbecue pulled pork out of Aldi. We've had this before and we do like it. Got some bread buns and then also some coleslaw to go with it. The first thing I'm going to do is empty the pulled pork out of the packet. So I'm just going to cut the top and you empty the contents and the juices into a dish, and this is going to go into the oven for 25 minutes. Rather than making chips or wedges, I thought these salt and pepper potato spirals would go nice with it, so these are just going to go into the air fryer for around 8 to 10 minutes. After the 25 minutes is up, I'm going to empty the juices out of the dish and then shred the pork. I'm then going to add the barbecue sauce to it, and this is going to go back into the oven for a further 10 minutes. And this is how it looks when everything is plated up. So this plate is Ayla's. She has some cucumber slices and coleslaw, her pulled pork bun, and then one of these spiral potatoes. And then I've got exactly the same thing, except I haven't got any veg to go with mine. And this is what we had for tea tonight. Tonight we are going to be having Alfredo pasta with bacon. So I've got my egg tagliatelle pasta, and then I've also got this big pack of bacon which I'm going to chop up into pieces, and then the cream to make the Alfredo sauce. The first thing I'm going to do is add some pasta to a pan, and I'm using boiling water out of the kettle. It just makes things a little bit quicker. Next I'm going to add garlic and butter to a different pan and let this cook down for a few minutes before adding in a full tub of cream. Once my cream has been simmering for a few minutes, I'm going to add some seasoning in. So in here I'm adding mixed herbs, salt and pepper, and then I'm going to give this a good stir before adding in my Parmesan cheese. I'm going to cook the bacon in the air fryer, so this is going to go in at 180 for about 15 to 20 minutes until it's all nice and crispy. And this is how it looks once everything is plated up. So all I did with the bacon is chop it into pieces and sprinkle it on top, and then we've also got a slice of garlic bread to go with it. And this is what we had for our tea tonight. On Friday we had something really quick and easy. We're going to have this barbecue chicken and bacon pizza out of the freezer, and we're going to have some fries to go with it. I've put the pizza onto a baking tray, and this is going to go in the oven now for about 15 to 20 minutes. For the chips, these actually take longer than fries, so these are actually going to go into the air fryer now for about 15 to 20 minutes. And this is how it looks once everything is plated up. We've both got 3 slices of pizza each and some chips, and then Ayla's also got some coleslaw to go with hers. I am going to get myself some sauce out of the fridge to dip into my chips, and this is what we had for our tea tonight. I hope you enjoyed this week's Meals of the Week, guys. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.